Welcome to the 1991 7th grade edition of Great Expectations.
This is the very first Great Expectations ever to be produced as a video, and the 7th grade feels very lucky to be a part of this project.
In this video, we will take you on a journey all over the Peck School, from the students to the teachers to the alumni.
It seems appropriate to begin with our story on the upcoming Peck Centennial celebration by Kenji Io, John Crutchlow, Hunter Lonsberry, Molly McAlpin, and Kara Packhouse.
Peck is getting ready for its 100th birthday. We're planning a big celebration. Peck moved to its present location in 1948. Before that, the school was located on Elm Street, where the Merrill Lynch building stands today.
We asked Mrs. Jan Paul, chairperson of the Peck School Centennial Committee, how long the Centennial Committee has actually been planning this event. Mrs. Paul?
Molly, as you know, the Peck School will be 100 years old in the school year 1992-93, and we've planned some very exciting centennial events for our Peck family. We've actually been working 3 years with the research and visitation of other schools planning their own centennial events. Our theme has been chosen. We have a centennial committee composed of alumni, past and present parents, faculty, and administration, and we've chosen our theme. It's called Foundations for the Future.
Mrs. Paul, what are some of the events scheduled for this year-long celebration?
Molly, we begin in the spring, actually next spring, 1992, with a pre-centennial year art show called Images of Children. And then we proceed to the fall. We're going to have a Friday afternoon assembly where we have our presentation of our history, which was written by Elizabeth Morrison, a presentation of a centennial quilt designed by Beth Whipperman, and a box lunch picnic and a planting of a centennial tree.
What specific activities will the Centennial class, the kids who are now in 6th grade, plan to do?
Well, we're not only going to involve our centennial class in many of the activities, but the whole student body will connect and be very involved with the whole centennial experience. We have an education committee, and as each event starts, we're going to have the children involved constantly.
We also asked Headmaster Mr. Rudy Dietzen what he thinks most interesting and exciting part of Peck Centennial will be.
Hunter, you'd be amazed. It's already exciting. We're well underway. Lots of meetings, lots of plans. Even heard some music the other day for the Centennial. And we're designing buildings for the future. And of course, when it really happens, you can imagine the place will be loaded with old friends. It's going to be a very exciting 100th birthday of Peck.
What's the biggest change you've seen at Peck since you've been here?
Hunter, there have been so many. Certainly the buildings would be the most obvious to anybody coming back. The bridge, the new classrooms, the art, shop, music, dining hall, kitchen, all the different things that we have now that we didn't have formerly. And the program itself, much more attention to the individual child, and thanks to the reading department, real progress with kids' study skills and ability. And family life education. Those are the biggest changes I can think of, along with the computer, of course.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to keep up on the upcoming centennial events.
We wouldn't be able to have a centennial celebration without the help of a very important group of people at Peck, our alumni. Here now are Joe Fernandez, Dory Kadish, Cameron Murphy, and Amy Zucker, who spoke with 4 very special and interesting alumni.
Hello. We had a chance to interview some very special Peck alumni from 3 different eras, the 1920s, the 1940s, and the 60s. All of them had a different perspective on Peck, but they all expressed a great deal of love for the school. I think you'll see what I mean.
What's your fondest memory that you've had at Peck?
My fondest memory of Peck has to be the many friendships that I formed during my years here.
I wasn't a very good student, for one thing, so my fondest memories are not in the classroom, but out playing with everybody else.
We had a hockey team, but only 6 people in school could skate. And one of them was a girl, so we put a big wool cap on top of her. We beat the opponents very badly until the last 5 seconds of the game. Somebody bumped into her and knocked her hat off, and his long hair came tumbling down. And the other team got mad and walked off the ice.
But my fondest memories really are the old school itself. Mr. and Mrs. Peck were everything you had read about as a child of a headmistress and a headmaster. And the school itself, the funny little creaky building with all the simplicity of it, was just the way a school should be. And that's really one of my fondest memories.
How has Peck changed since you went to school here?
I think the biggest change has been in the student body itself, that we now have a very diverse student body.
And that used to be a little tiny school. Here, I mean, here's a big library here. We had nothing like that when we were there. Your classes are big. We had only 6 graduating with me.
Well, the principal change in my mind as I look at the students is that they've all gotten smaller and the teachers have gotten bigger. When I was in school, maybe it's because I was so little myself, but the teachers to me were giants, all of them.
Well, when you think it was 1927 when I was here, and you all look as though you could count to 1991 from there, that was a long time ago. Everything's changed. Even the air has changed. But it's all for the good, I would say.
What were you like when you were a student at Peck?
Well, when I was a student here, I remember I enjoyed the sports probably the most in the curriculum.
I was small, very shy. I guess dweeby would be a good, you'll see pictures of it and you'll see it. I was not a good behavioral person. As a matter of fact, I had the lowest deportment of anybody who was not thrown out of Peck. That's a little unknown fact here.
I was very little, very skinny, very noisy, probably very fresh. At least I was told by some older people that I was.
I was very, very serious when I was young. There were 4 of us in our class. They were all girls. We never looked at the men. There were a couple of them in the school. Nudie wasn't there then. I might have looked at him. But the ones that were there, we never dared look at any of them. We were just in a little world of our own.
How has Peck helped you succeed in life?
I also feel that the security and the nurturing aspect of my life here at Peck provided me with a foundation also to raise my own family.
I think it's the kind of the character building influence of Mr. Peck, I think, did more to help me out than anything I can think of.
And the teachers were a great influence. The teachers I remember, Miss Barkman, Miss Fraser, both the Pecks, Miss Williams, they were really an example, and I think they instilled a little pride in me as to how much homework I did and what results I got, and that, of course, is very useful.
Peck had a wonderful reputation for good scholastic basics, which you can thank Mr. and Mrs. Peck for, so I think it helped me in that way.
We enjoyed hearing from our Peck alumni who have very fond memories of the school. Maybe someday we'll appreciate our Peck education as much as they do.
Not only does our school have an interesting history, but this Great Expectations project does as well. Let's go now to Jeff Lee, Tom McKinney, Jessica Reed, and Tommy Scott for their story.
This year, the 7th grade edition of Great Expectations has a new twist. It's on video. You may remember several years back when the 7th grade wrote the first annual 7th grade edition of our school's newsletter. This year, we are privileged to be doing something special, something different. Welcome to the first Great Expectations video.
We asked Mr. Phil Sibilia, Peck parent and the man in charge of organizing this special event, how he came up with the idea of having a video.
Well, we've been involved in the print medium for the past 2 or 3 years. Broadcast journalism is a very, very important information source for us. I think what's going on in the Persian Gulf reflects that as an information source, and I thought it'd be a great idea if we could get the 7th grade class involved in broadcast journalism.
In what way is this video a giant step forward?
Well, it's a giant step forward, I think, for Peck and the 7th graders at Peck, and then prior to this you were involved in just writing your stories and editing your stories and putting them on paper, and now you're involved in concepting, writing your story, and then translating that into pictures and video and using that as the information source. And from what I can see, you've all done quite a remarkable job. You're to be congratulated.
Mrs. Ann Lewis has been helping Peck over the many years with their Great Expectations newsletter. This year she is giving us ideas and brainstorms on what we should do with our video. Mrs. Lewis, how do you think it is different from last year?
Well, this year with the videotape, we had to think about how things look and not only how they sound. At the same time, we used our same news gathering principles as we did in the newsletter, just telling what's going on at Peck campus, and that's what this videotape is all about.
And now to Jessica.
The 7th grade worked very hard on meeting our many deadlines. Ms. Pam Carrigal, professional producer, came in and instructed us on all kinds of information about filmmaking. If it weren't for her, the production wouldn't have taken place. Tommy Scott has an opportunity to interview her on how she participated in the project.
Ms. Carrigal, we know this is your first time working with 7th graders. What were your thoughts going into this Great Expectations project?
Well, I think at first, Tommy, I was thinking about wondering how much the students knew about video production. But after getting into the class, I realized it's not really how much they know, but how excited they are about doing it and how interested they are in doing it. And I found out that the students were very motivated and very excited, so it ended up being great for me.
What do you think you'll remember most about the Great Expectations project?
Probably what we're doing this week, going around campus, interviewing people, asking questions, and working with the students with the video equipment. It's really a lot of fun.
Now that we've done a video version of Great Expectations, who knows what will be in store for future 7th graders and future editions of Great Expectations.
Throughout Peck's almost 100-year-old history, the sports program was not always what it is today. Alex Dave, Molly Hall, and Danielle Fashalia will tell us just how different it used to be.
In the 1920s and 30s, the only real girls' sport was basketball. They did not have regular sports time every day, although the boys did. They had it once a week in the basement of the Church of the Redeemer. Sports uniforms consisted of blouses and bloomers. In the 1950s, things changed. The girls had lacrosse, field hockey, basketball, and softball teams. They were even allowed to play ice hockey with the boys. The sports at Peck have come a long way.
Gymnastics was a sport that you might have seen in the early 1980s. Here to talk with us is the former coach of the girls' gymnastics class, Miss Jeannie Brown. What was your most vivid memory of the class?
Well, as I thought back, it seemed like so many years ago. I was thinking about how much fun we all had between warming up. Each girl took a different time, a different day where they got to lead the warm-up exercises. We had a lot of fun choosing the music we would exercise to and warm up to.
Why did Peck stop gymnastics?
They rewrote the sports curriculum, and they added some new teachers to be hired to help with the basketball program.
Do you think that Peck will ever have gymnastics again?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I can't really tell, but I know the girls all enjoy gymnastics.
Like gymnastics, football was a common sight in the 70s and 80s at Peck. It was a fall sport for many years. Let's get some more information from former coach Don Diebold.
The football team was first established approximately 1946 by Mr. Harold Green. He was the athletic director then and for about 30 years into the future as well.
Was the program popular?
The program, of course, was very popular, especially in the 40s and in the 50s, and its popularity was challenged by soccer then in the 60s.
Can you tell me why the program ended?
Well, with soccer becoming so popular in the 60s, more and more boys choosing it, there were less boys taking football. And the other schools that we played, they dropped 8-man football and went to 11-man football. So for the boy that was rugged, it didn't matter. He wanted to play football, but it was difficult fielding a team with only 11 or 12 boys against other schools that had 20 or 30 boys for 11-man football.
Thanks for stepping back with us into the world of sports at Peck.
Let's move forward in time and take a look at Peck's present-day winter sports with Michael Blanchard, Don Grathwall, and Melissa Paul.
Good evening, sports fans. We will be bringing you winter sports from Peck. First, we go to Michael Blanchard with a story on Peck hockey.
Hi, I'm here with Martin Lingnow, varsity hockey goalie for the Peck team. Martin, how do you feel the season's going so far?
So far, I think our Peck hockey team has had a good season. We've had a few disappointments, but a lot of high points, and we've had probably one of the better hockey teams Peck's ever had.
What are your goals as a team this year, Martin?
Our goals for the season this year is to play as well as we can, even though we don't have the quality players as most other teams we play do. But to play as well as we can, keep it close, and maybe win a few.
What do you feel Peck hockey will have to do next year to have a real good winning season?
To have a really good season next year, we'll have to pick up some very experienced players who play outside of school, so they're warmed up for the first game.
We're following up on our discussion of hockey with a look at girls basketball. This season, the two co-captains are Yumina Dean and Kitty Sherman. Yumina, what are your strengths and weaknesses as a team so far this year?
Our strengths as a team so far is our teamwork. We don't have a one-man team, and everybody contributes to our team. And I don't believe we have any weaknesses so far.
Okay. What was the best game you have played so far this year, and why?
Our best game this year was MKA, in which they came to our school, and they were a very challenging team, and we won.
Kitty, do you think you have had a good season so far this year, and why?
Yes, I think this is one of the best seasons the A team's ever had. We're 6-1, and their only loss is to one of the best teams, Harding, so it was pretty good.
Boys hockey and girls basketball are only two of the many winter sports at Peck. The other winter sports include girls volleyball, which have won all their games so far, boys basketball, which this season has been going better than in years in the past, and Lifetime Sports, a program that includes tennis, golf, swimming, weightlifting, and karate.
Another present-day important part of Peck life is Student Council, our school government. Here with a look at the council are Jenny Berger, Alex Ferris, and Nathaniel Logan.
We had an opportunity to sit in an actual student council meeting in progress. The meetings are held every Friday in the lower school conference room. Advisor Mr. Jim Cross and President Peter Blanchard run the meeting. Nathaniel had an opportunity to talk with them.
I'm here with Peter Blanchard and Mr. Cross to ask them what impact they think the Student Council has had so far this year.
Well, we've had a lot of class unity activities for both the 5th and 6th grades and 7th and 8th grades. For the 7th and 8th grade, we've had a dance and a free dress day in the fall. And for the 5th and 6th grade, they had their roller skating party and the talent show, which they also participated in.
The Student Council is also, we've become involved for the first time this year in a soup kitchen in Morristown, and we are also more involved with school services.
And what future hopes do you have for the Student Council, Mr. Cross?
We hope to have the Student Council become more involved in the community as well as the school. We will be encouraging them to participate more on a more frequent basis with the soup kitchen and more involvement for food drives within the school itself.
One of the Student Council's main functions this year was the talent show. It was held on January the 25th for grades 5 through 8. The acts ranged from a singing Bart Simpson to the New Kids on the Block. This is Jenny, Nathaniel, and Alex reporting to you from the Peck School on Student Council and the talent show.
Each year, all kinds of exciting changes take place at Peck, and one of those changes is the addition of new students to our school. Deshaun Carter, Aaron Harpel, Will Knox, and Wick McLean talked to these new students and found out their reactions to their new school.
Have you ever wondered what the new kids at Peck think of our school? Well, we rounded up some of the kids, and they're going to give you a strong opinion on their best part of our school.
Well, my favorite thing is the people, because everyone's so nice and the teachers are so nice to you, and if you don't know what something is, then there'll be someone to point it out to you. I like the extracurricular activities. I like participating in a Great ExPECKtations video, and I like Latin too.
My favorite thing is the girls.
My favorite thing at the Peck School is the playground. My favorite thing is that it's challenging. My favorite thing is that the teachers are so much nicer. My favorite thing is lunch.
My favorite thing is my friend, what's her name again? Alaire.
My favorite thing at the Peck School is the sports.
I like the sports program.
Sports.
I like the sports.
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 僕はペックがとても大好きです。
Another thing we asked these kids is what they think the biggest difference between Peck and their old school is. Here's what they had to say.
Well, these people give us more homework and it's a longer day.
The biggest difference between this school and my old school is we get out at 4 o'clock here and we have to do more work and study harder here. In my old school, we didn't have to do as much.
Well, my other school, the teachers were really mean, all the children were really mean. Here I see a really big difference. It's quite the opposite. You get a longer vacation. You have different kind of desks. Well, in my other school, they taught me things that I knew when I was in kindergarten, and in this school, I learned new things.
And now let's look at the newest addition to the Peck School, the Peck School Kindergarten, and let's find out what they have to say about Peck.
Thanks for joining us on our tour with the new kids at Peck.
There's a lot going on in our world right now, and we wanted to find out what Peck students think about current events. Aussie Dyer, Carolyn Goulet, Doug Parker, and Fred Small explore this topic further.
We wanted to know what our fellow students' feelings are about the war in the Persian Gulf, so we randomly went around and asked them what their feelings are.
I think we're doing a great job, but I hope it doesn't turn into another Vietnam.
I think we're doing the right thing by going over there. Otherwise, he'll get all the other countries in the Middle East. So
I think it's dumb to just fight over extra space for one country. I feel we should be there, and then we shouldn't because we're helping another country, but we shouldn't do it just for political, just so our country will look good.
Well, I think we really need to keep the troops in mind and not forget that they're out there, and we have to support them.
Well, I feel angry and also sad because they have to leave their families to go to the Persian Gulf to fight.
I feel sad that people are having to lose their lives at war, but I feel that our country is doing the right thing.
I feel sort of sad that some people have gotten hurt by some missile that have landed in their country. It feels bad. Must really feel bad.
Well, I don't think it's really a good idea for Saddam Hussein just to walk into Kuwait because it has more oil. I think that Saddam should have said to the owner, could we split the oil instead of just having a war? I don't think Saddam Hussein should be pouring all the oil into other places because he can't have it.
We also asked students their opinion on Israel being on the verge of entering the war in the Persian Gulf.
Well, I know eventually they're going to retaliate, but if they do, it'll mess up all the plans of the United States and the other countries in the coalition.
Well, I think that would change it around and it would make it a religious war.
Well, Israel's a whole different country. I don't think they should be part of the war unless they want to be.
Well, I think Israel should get involved in the war because they're mostly bombing on Israel, and if they don't bomb back, they'll keep bombing on Israel.
It's really up to the president and what their choices are and what the people of Israel think they should do.
They've already been attacked by a bunch of other Arab countries, so I really feel like they're sort of like the one stuck in the middle, and I think it's unfair.
It was fun to find out how much kids really care about what's happening in their world and their personal reactions to the current events.
We hope all the troops in Saudi Arabia come home safe and sound, and we honor the bravery of those families who have members over there right now.
We hope you've enjoyed our first grade expectations video.
We certainly couldn't have done it without the help of Mr. Sibilia, who originally thought of the terrific idea, Miss Carrigal, who produced and directed us through the project, Mrs. Lewis, who helped us brainstorm ideas for our scripts and helped us edit them, and Mrs. Rogers, Mrs. Morrison, and Mrs. Merrick, who supported us during classroom time. Thank you very much.
We know we definitely enjoyed this project and feel lucky to have been a part of it.
We hope to see you at Peck Centennial Celebration. Thanks for joining us.